Starship Troopers Continuum is a VR action shooter developed by XR Games, a studio who has quite the catalog of VR titles, most notably Zombieland Headshot Fever and the upcoming Zombie Army VR. They really like movies and zombies, it seems. I was initially quick to write this game off as some generic licensed VR title and promptly walked past it without much thought. Yet, after seeing friends and other people playing it, I realized I nearly missed out on a really fun Hoard shooter experience. So, here I am, ready to tell you why I think Starship Troopers is really rad as a VR title, and why you too should consider doing your part. With that said though, for any Starship Trooper fans ready to eat me harder than the arachnids over a mistake or three, please go easy on me. I know nothing about this series other than the fact it's pretty big if Wikipedia tells me anything. Welcome to the Continuum, a psychic weapon created to help end the war between the Federation and the Arachnid. As a Psi Commander, an experiment with advanced psychic powers, your job is to take control of troopers and use your skills to help on the field. You'll go through various environments on the planet Janus 4, shooting all sorts of arachnids and trying not to die in the process. They definitely do quite a bit to set up the story, even having it being used as a forefront for setting up the game's basic settings, which I always love. It's not an epic story, of course, just a catalyst for why you're shooting bugs, and sometimes that's all you really need in a game like this. I also can't go without briefly mentioning the game's presentation, especially the visuals. Given this is a game that's going to be put on the Quest, they couldn't really do any crazy details texture-wise. So instead, they focus on a stylized look for both the human NPCs, as well as the many bugs you'll be facing. I honestly feel like it helps the game stand out quite a bit, even when you're viewing it through a low-quality potato like the Quest 2. Each stage of Starship Troopers is mostly a point A to point B affair, with some minor objectives sprinkled about, usually ending off with a boss at the end sometimes. A good amount of them will mix it up here and there, but it's nothing you likely can't handle. Really, most of the focus will be shooting bugs and trying not to die. No, seriously. One of the main goals of the game is leveling up the troops you control to gain various perks and benefits to use in combat. Sounds simple enough, except if you aren't careful, they can end up dying. Not only do you have a limited number of troops you can lose per mission, but losing a troop also loses all the perks, weapons, and rank they had. Meaning, you have to start building up a new one from level 1. Yup, this game has character permadeath. It kind of fries my brain seeing permadeath like this in a VR horde shooter of all things, but I think it's pretty neat. It makes every loss of a troop more impactful when you could lose all that you work for due to just one mistake. There is a reason why what is often seen as damage indicators in most other games are instead indicators of where the arachnids are, complete with warning sounds. Cause these guys can swarm you fast and kill you quick if you give them the chance. And even though you have the luxury of surviving just one hit with certain attacks, a handful of bugs hardly give you that courtesy. So try not to get your troops killed if you can help it. Fortunately, you have all sorts of weapons and tricks at your disposal to help in dealing with the swarm of alien bugs. There's obvious stuff like stabilizing primary weapons with 2 hands for better accuracy, a psychic dash for getting out of the way, and grenades you can throw to help in a pinch. Though you also have unique stuff such as moving faster when your weapon is holstered as opposed to holding it or even aiming down sights, as well as having a primary and secondary weapon over your shoulders, with the secondary having infinite ammo. My favorite aspect, which is extremely small, is often what I call sticky grip. Hold grip, put your hand next to what you want to grab, and you'll immediately grab it when it's within range. This is great for the more finicky weapons where I want to grab the handle to prime it, but for some odd reason, it refuses to grab. I was initially worried with the lack of irons for certain weapons like the basic rifle, but it's not really that much of an issue given the sort of enemies you'll be fighting. Most of the time in horde shooters, you're either fighting zombies or military dudes, oftentimes having more human proportions and just requiring you to shoot at the head. Starship Troopers on the other end has man-eating alien bugs with all this crazy anatomy and a focus on its inner mass. So of course, the accuracy for guns like the starting rifle are going to be much more simplified. And really, This was only a concern up until I learned that the other weapons have proper irons and that higher tiered weapons get laser dots and scopes. The other big thing with the game's gunplay is, of course, reloading. It's kind of a big deal for VR shooters. Or any shooter really. Depending on how it's handled, it can potentially add to the gunplay in fun and unique ways, but it can sometimes be a challenge for devs in deciding between making it more arcadey with a bit of automation, or adding some realism to add that extra layer of challenge. Trying to find the right balance is not always easy, and it helps to lean towards one that will fit the gameplay. So, how does Starship Trooper handle it? Manual or auto? Well, why not both? Auto reload simply requires you to drop the magazine, lower the gun, and press the button to insert a new one. Sort of like you're playing a light gun game. You know, without the constant yelling to shoot outside the screen in your ear. Whereas, manual has you dropping the mag, actually grabbing a new one, and pulling back the handle or slide to prime it if it's completely empty. Something a bit more recognizable if you've played any of the dozen military VR shooters out there. So you get access to both flavors of VR reloading. What's the big deal? The big deal is that there's no toggle between them like in, say, After the Fall. You get to choose what reload you do at the moment to fit the situation. Manual has the benefit of giving a damage bonus for the new mag, while auto is great for using in a pinch or with akimbo playstyles. Combine saving a bullet so you can skip having to rack or prime it, and it hits all the right notes that I love with VR shooters like this. Killing bugs earns you experience, which goes towards your trooper's level, your Psy Commander level, and even perk levels. While you will have to start from scratch if the trooper you're controlling dies, the Psy Commander level persists between hosts, meaning the higher it is, the more permanent benefits open up to you. Things like new weapons, skills, missions, and so on. While you can earn Psy Commander level by just playing the game and killing bugs, one effective way of increasing it is by granting your trooper a citizenship, essentially retiring them so you can earn experience based on how high their rank was and their completed career goals. This will force you to choose a new trooper to control as if they died, but the bonus experience and rewards you get is often well worth it, which leads to a gameplay loop I'm quite fond of. Build a trooper to your liking or playstyle. Bring them on the field to kill bugs and survive, retire them for bonuses, or lose it all due to them dying. Thankfully, since the max trooper level is pretty low at the start, it's not too much of a loss whenever you lose one, though later on, the levels for it can get higher. Alongside cash and experience, retiring them also grants you merits, which you can use to level up perks right then and there. Each level increases the perk's effectiveness in numerous ways, whether that be jacking up the percentage or lowering the cooldown. You can make some wild troopers if you play your cards right, though as each reroll costs credits, and you don't even unlock it till Psy Commander level 4, it helps to make do with what you get. Which is totally fine, as perks will level up passively when equipped, so there's nothing wrong with taking perks purely to level them up for the future. There's a surprising amount of things to do in Continuum, so much so the advertised 8 to 10 hours I initially laughed at started to make much more sense. You of course have a full-on campaign with various set pieces and bosses to deal with, as well as patrol missions which contain much smaller objectives like defending cargo from a swarm of arachnids or just trying not to die too many times. Having these more bite-sized missions is great if you want to get some additional credits for some new weapons, or see how your trooper stacks up against the odds. What genuinely surprised me though was the amount of potential replay value to be had, notably with the variety of collectibles to look for. You'll be able to find bonus credits to pick up, hidden merits you can shoot, gear you can use to customize your trooper's looks, and even tapes you're meant to carry to the end of the stage for rewards. If you already think that's a lot of incentive to replay missions, even the results screen has its own to consider. You're graded based on the time spent within the level, shown your statistics like accuracy, and given credits based on various bonuses and penalties. Troopers lost, objective, and even ammo used? Yeah, bullets cost money when fired. There's even a stat for it whenever you're selecting the gun in the armory. I thought this was a weird one initially, especially given there's already an accuracy statistic, but it definitely works as a way to incentivize better accuracy. So it helps to aim your shots, and of course actually complete the mission in one piece. Guess I should mention the game's multiplayer while I have a second. You're able to take on campaign and even patrol missions as a squad with either random players or friends you can join or invite as needed. With up to 3 players tackling missions, you'll have a bit more breathing room with the ability to revive down players and even watch each other's backs, which you'll be doing quite often with how frequently the warriors will spam their co-op exclusive pin on you. I do recommend bothering with the multiplayer once you get a decent bit into the campaign, mostly so you can help your fellow troopers with proper gear and perks, but also because some perks work better or are exclusive to co-op. There isn't much else I can really say or complain about. Aside from the aforementioned lack of irons on the starting rifle, playing through the game for this video was pretty smooth, even on Quest 2. Though that isn't to say it wasn't without a few bugs hiding about. And I'm not talking about the kind bullets will solve. From briefly letting go of stuff whenever things are loading, being able to see the entire mission list, including New Game Plus, despite having not unlocked it proper, to the biggest one I encountered, having weapons and grabbables bug out, forcing me to use auto reload since not even the magazines want to leave the pouch. Could be an issue specifically for the Quest 2, could be something they're looking to fix soon, who knows. I'm honestly pretty glad I was able to have a fun time with Starship Troopers Continuum, especially given this was a game that would have likely flown on my radar for a very long time. The marketing material made it hard to know what type of game this was. I know absolutely nothing about the source material, and of course, the lack of a PC VR version. Yet once I got a taste of the gameplay by watching a streamer or two, it wasn't long before I found myself clamoring for a chance to play it myself. I am quite a big fan of arcade-style Hoard shooters. It's why I can confidently say that Continuum manages to sit with After the Fall and Crossfire Sierra Squad as my go-to for the genre. So much so, I had to start setting timers to take breaks or stop the recording for this video. Otherwise, I would run out of space or miss my bedtime. I do still wish it was on PC VR given it's the only one missing from the selection. But if you have a Quest or PSVR 2, there's hardly a reason not to get it. Starship Troopers Continuum is available on PSVR 2 and Meta Quest stores for $19.99. Feel free to use my Meta referral link down below to get 50% off. Thanks again to XR Games for providing a key for this video, and for making such a fun experience I'm eager to jump back into. I'm doing my part. Are you?